This guy will respect you more when you're absent. When you remove yourself fully from this situation, it hits completely different. He feels something completely different. He knows the energy has shifted, and he knows that he can't control you anymore once you start doing this. When guys think they can go and do as they please, and when they keep doing the same thing, making the same mistakes over and over again, it's because they don't respect you. They think that they can keep running over you. When they know that their actions have no consequences and that you'll stick around during any situation, they will continue to do the same thing over and over again. One of the hardest things you will have to actually learn is how to walk away even when it hurts the most. Most people don't want to walk away, and they're scared to walk away only because they're scared to be alone at this point. And they're scared they're going to be with someone else besides them. And if they find someone else in the midst of all this, that person was never really actually for them. One thing I don't want you to do, I don't want you to take them back after they spin the block, go do whatever they want to do, go do whoever they want to do. Don't take them back at this point in time, because they're just trying to see if you'll still take them back, if you're still available after going 3, 4, 5 weeks without talking to them. In my new book, How to Make a Man Obsessed with You, I teach you how to make this guy completely obsessed, how to stay in your feminine energy, and how to move on from toxic men that keep spinning the block, doing you dirty, doing you wrong. It's helped thousands of women already. Go snag it right now.
When you remain silent in a situation that you are expected to respond, to defend, or to explain yourself, some people do think it because you are guilty or afraid, and that is why you are silent. But they just don't know that the older you get, the more selective you become. And that includes the kind of battles you choose to fight. And any battle that is unproductive and the outcome will not lead you to your success or growth, you surely don't entertain. And this is one thing about you that they still just don't get. My dear, I think you made the right choice in this situation. Keep it up. Have a beautiful week ahead.
The best thing I learned in life is to stay silent when no explanation is needed. You don't need to prove your choices or walk anyone through your thought process. Your values speak louder than your explanations. And when you trust yourself, you don't look for validation. You move in alignment peacefully and boldly, because silence isn't weakness, it's confidence in action.
Don't warn you about. There's this quiet shift that happens when you've been observing for a long time. You stop reacting. You stop correcting people. You stop announcing what you feel. And from the outside, it looks like growth. It looks like maturity. It looks like you've mastered peace.
I don't think people realize how observant I am. I'm not slow. I just move different. I notice patterns. I catch tone changes. I feel the energy before words even hit my ears. When I ask questions, it's never because I don't know. It's because I want to see if you'll tell me the truth. See, people will show you who they are when they think that you don't know what you already know. So I watch, I listen, and I take notes in silence. I don't react. I just adjust. Because once I see what I needed to see, you'll never, ever have to worry about me calling you out. You'll just notice the distance.
Nobody really tells you this, but I heard a guy on TikTok say this the other day and it hit hard. Only the ones who care about you will hear you when you're quiet.
But sometimes it's not peace, it's pattern recognition. I've always been the type to notice everything: tone changes, energy shifts, the way someone texts okay instead of okay, and suddenly the temperature drops 10 degrees. I don't ask questions because I'm clueless. I ask because I want to see if your story matches what I already picked up.
You don't understand what silence does to a man, because if you did, you wouldn't waste your time crashing out, sending paragraphs, or blowing up his phone. I'm going to explain to you what silence does to a man psychologically. So save this, send this to your friends. Probably gonna have to make a part 2. So if you want a part 2, comment below. Number 1, he loses predictability and control. Your consistent emotional presence made him feel safe. But when you are the one to walk away, when you are the one to go silent, you are reflecting back to him a person that he doesn't recognize. Because what did he say to you? He said, I just can't give you what you need. He thought you were suffocating. He thought you were demanding. But all of a sudden, he's realizing, wow, she doesn't need me as much as I thought she did. 2, it creates a psychological void. Your silence creates a vacuum, and human nature hates emptiness. So he tries to fill the void by replaying memories, getting into surface level flings, rebound relationships. Men feel more for you in your absence than in your presence, because oftentimes men don't know how to articulate what they want until that woman walks out of their life and they realize, wow, that woman actually had everything that I needed. Why? Because access breeds blindness. He became blissfully unaware of just how good he had it until distance provides perspective, which will communicate all of the things your words couldn't. And 3, it triggers obsessive thinking. We don't obsess over the things in our life that feel complete. And since you are no longer the one to close the gap, since you are no longer the one to take initiative and try to find a resolution, he doesn't know how to handle it.
Your silence is going to fuck with them, okay? Your silence is powerful. It's sensual. It's sexy. When you no longer contact a person, you are essentially telling this person that you don't need them and you don't really fuck with them. And trust me, at one point, they knew that you fuck with them. At one point, they knew that you cared so much for them, so much to the point that you couldn't even live without this person. And the shift is going to fuck with them because they have this expectation that you are always going to be in back of them, that you're always going to be, wanting them and wanting to be with them and wanting to talk to them and share time with them. And when you no longer move a muscle for this person, you no longer lift a finger, okay, you don't pick up your phone to text them or talk to them or even ask them how they're doing, they are going to notice. And even if it is a manipulation tactic, trust me, they are not going to even notice because they're going to be so wrapped up in asking the big question, how come this person no longer fucks with me? What did I do to completely change someone that was madly obsessed and in love with me? What the fuck did I do? And how can I fix this problem?
People don't miss you when you're chasing them. They miss you when you stop. And if your ex was an avoidant, that silence hits differently. You pulled away, you stopped texting, you stopped checking their page, and you probably thought they'd reach out right away. But they did nothing. Now you're wondering, did they even care? Did I even matter at all? You did. And this is what's called the delayed regret effect. And it can be broken down into 3 different parts. Avoidantly attached people do not process loss in real time. But whilst you're feeling everything immediately, they're compartmentalizing. This is what appears like as if they're totally unaffected, unfazed, thriving. However, their coping strategy is emotional distancing, which means avoid, suppress, disconnect. So when you also pull away, they don't react, and that's not because they're not bothered. It's because they've trained themselves to feel later. But over time, a crack forms. Avoidants start to feel emotional dissonance. It's a conflict between how they want to appear, I'm fine, I don't need anyone, and what their body starts signaling. Why am I feeling this emptiness now? Your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. Not because you disappeared, but because the emotional supply that they once had is gone. This is what creates the shift. When you're chasing, they felt in control, emotionally protected, constantly validated. But when you go quiet, they lose that emotional supply. Their avoidance no longer has anything to bounce off. And suddenly, there is no one mirroring their worth. No one to reject, no one to pull away from. That loss creates delayed longing. Not always for you specifically, but for the comfort that your presence gave them. Even if they try to replace this, it takes a lot of effort to rebuild that kind of emotional influence again. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, how did they move on so fast? Remember, avoidants often feel grief when it's too late to fix it, and that's not your problem. Don't break your silence to get a reaction. Let the distance do its job. Focus on the self that no longer needs to be chosen to feel worthy, because your peace will echo longer than any text ever could. If you found this helpful, drop a heart, and don't forget to follow for more psych insights on healing.
Has anybody noticed how much it bothers your coworkers when you don't engage in conversation with them? It kills them inside, genuinely. They will try to get a conversation out of you so bad. I'm just here to work. I really don't want to talk to you, Susan. I really don't. Honestly, I don't care how your weekend was. And when you really sit back and watch everybody's interactions with each other, you notice just how fake these people are. And you want to sit and smile in my face? I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not here for a social life. I'm here for the check.
Okay, y'all. Somebody on here said a very, very great comment on here. They said, when you are quiet, you are the most noticed person as well. Like, people will notice you even though you are quiet. Baby, that speaks volume. Like, you don't have to say a word and people will still notice you. Ooh, clock it.
All right, this one might be a little uncomfortable, but if you've noticed that you are a quieter person than you used to be, listen closely. If at some point in your life you stopped reacting, stopped explaining yourself, stopped expressing yourself as much, and you told yourself it was growth, it very well may not have been. It might have been self-silencing. Here's what actually happens. When you spend enough time around people who misunderstand you, who minimize you, or make your emotions feel inconvenient, your brain doesn't argue forever. It adapts. You start editing yourself before you speak. You choose words carefully. You stop bringing things up. You let things slide that used to bother you. You become easygoing. And everyone around you praises it. You're so calm now. You're so mature. You don't take things so personally anymore. But internally, something else is happening. Your brain is learning that expressing yourself doesn't change outcomes, so it reduces expression to conserve energy. Not because you're healed, because you're tired. That's why some women say, I don't get angry anymore, I just shut down. I don't argue, I just don't care. And that's the scary part, because it doesn't feel like pain, it feels like neutrality. But neutrality isn't always peace, it's like your personality on low power mode. And you don't notice it until one day you sit back and think, I used to have opinions, I used to feel stronger about this, I used to be louder. And you can't quite pinpoint when that version of you disappeared. That change didn't usually come from one big trauma, it came from repeated micro-dismissals. Moments where being yourself felt pointless. If you've been proud of being low maintenance but secretly feel numb or muted, you're not broken. Your nervous system just learned how to take up less space. Yeah, that one sits with you.
People are like, you're so quiet. And I'm like, oh, actually, thanks. But I was talking about 10 minutes ago and someone cut me off in the middle of my sentence and then nobody cared to hear what I had to say after that. It was like they completely forgot I existed. And I just had to kind of back out of the conversation and I wanted to have never been born. But thanks. I'm not that quiet.
And here's the truth. When people think you don't see them clearly, that's when they reveal the most. So I stopped reacting, not because I didn't care, but because reacting is expensive. It costs energy. And once you've gathered enough data, you don't need a debate. You just need distance. What really hit me, though, is this. Only the people who truly care about you will hear you when you're quiet.
When you're a genuine person and you've treated somebody well, they will never forget about you. And when I tell you never, they will never forget about you. And once you cut off that person's access to you because it's no longer needed, you're just done and over the situation, they become obsessed with you. They literally become obsessed with you. And that's why I always tell people, silence is your power. Be quiet. Just be quiet. And just people literally obsess over you because you're quiet and you have control. So I'm telling you, be quiet.
Anyone can respond to noise. Not everyone can recognize silence. If I go quiet and you don't notice, that tells me everything. If my energy shifts and you don't check in, noted. If I stop explaining myself and your life continues uninterrupted, message received. And here's the uncomfortable part. Some of us became chill because it felt pointless to be expressive. After enough times of being misunderstood, minimized, or told you're too much, your brain goes, bet, I'll be less.
They watch every single story, they never comment, they never like it, and you're wondering, what's going on? And you know exactly who I'm talking about. These people are not neutral. They're actually obsessed with you. What they're actually doing, they're checking in on you because they're waiting for the moment that they see a little crash. They want the tea, they want the mess, they want that negative post that you'll finally put up so they can be like, oh, LOL, huh? And do you know why they do that? They want to see you fail so that they can feel better about staying as small as they are. And this is the worst part. You're letting them have space in your head rent-free. Wealthy women, they do not look at their stories. They do not track who's watching. They do not sit there and wonder like, who hates me today? Because they understand something that you're still learning. Attention is attention and obsession is love. That's just too proud to admit it. If someone is talking shit about you right now, that's good because you are worth talking shit about. Silent haters are still haters, and haters are just fans with a complex. So here's your new rule. If they're watching you, just remember they're just studying and you should let them take notes. Because while they're busy watching your life, you're busy building it. And that's the difference between you and between them. Comment little eye emojis in the comments below if this happens to you, because I know it does.
You start editing yourself before you even open your mouth. You soften your tone. You let things slide. You convince yourself it's growth. I'm just more mature now. I don't take things personally. I'm unbothered. But deep down, you're not unbothered. You're exhausted. Your nervous system just learned that fighting for understanding rarely changes the outcome, so instead of arguing, it conserves energy. Low power mode activated. And here's the wild part. People will praise you for it. You're so calm now. You're so easygoing. You never complain. Yeah, because I realized complaining to the wrong people is like sending mail to an empty house. But don't confuse quiet with weak. Don't confuse distance with ignorance. Some of us are silent because we're calculating. We're watching consistency. We're tracking effort. We're measuring reciprocity. And once we see what we need to see, there's no dramatic exit, no announcement, no speech. You'll just feel the space where I used to be. The key is this, though. Make sure your silence is intentional, not self-erasure. There's a difference between choosing not to engage and believing your voice doesn't matter. The right people will notice you're quiet. The right people will ask what changed. The right people will feel your absence before you even leave. And